Welcome to the Fellowship of the Films podcast, a podcast where we discuss movies, TV, and other pop culture related topics. My name's Duncan, and with me I have Ryan, and today we're going to be discussing a variety of different movies we've seen recently. How are you feeling today, Ryan?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm excited. We got some pretty good movies we're going to talk about, so let's get into it.
It should be good. Okay, so we're kind of just doing a new episode format where we kind of just talk about the latest things we've seen and give you a little bit of insight into the latest things that are out, some older stuff, like whatever we've kind of been watching lately, and then you can check it out yourself, or if you've seen the things, you can hear our thoughts on it.
Exactly, yeah. It's kind of an episode where we're talking about what we've seen recently and what we're kind of watching, so you guys can see what we're doing.
Yeah. So, let's get right into it. So the thing we just watched recently, let's start with the most recent thing.
Most recent thing first.
We just watched a movie called Suckerpunch.
Suckerpunch, directed by Zack Snyder. You know, you may have seen him in his old cut of the Justice League and new Army of the Dead film coming to Netflix soon. So
yeah, so this movie came out in 2011.
2011, yep.
And it wasn't greatly received from what I can see.
No,
I mean, I wasn't around when I wasn't watching stuff like this in 2011, but from what I can see on the internet, it wasn't great received. Like, just Rotten Tomatoes and general ratings were just kind of like,
yeah,
not great for this.
No,
but
before you brought this up, I'd never heard of this thing before.
I hadn't really heard of it. I'd seen it like just kind of rumblings, but I didn't really. It's not prominent. It's not really appreciated by many people.
Yeah, it's not very prominent in culture.
So, what did you think of this?
Overall, we just finished watching it up at the time of recording, and honestly, I gotta say it was a pretty good movie. I liked it. Overall, it's a very interesting concept, and a lot of the stuff is you need to really watch it to know what I'm talking about. But overall, it's a pretty good movie, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
Just for opening thoughts.
Yeah, for me, opening thoughts, I enjoyed it. It was an experience. It wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh no, there's some flaws.
It was not an amazing movie, but it's definitely worth the watch. It was an enjoyable time.
It was worth that first watch. Honestly, I will give it that.
Yeah, it was odd. Like, you have to be open minded if you just like a really like regimented kind of movie experience where you want to know what you're going into. Don't watch this. This is weird and kind of out of sorts and odd.
Mm-hmm. So the movie itself is kind of. Well, what would you say? It's not really. It does not really fall into genres. It's kind of like a thriller, if anything.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know if it categorizes as thriller because there's fantasy in it as well. Mm-hmm. It's really weird movie.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
It's just
it's weird.
It's an experience. You know?
It's an experience. Yeah, it's just one of, like, we were relating it to Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Because
Scott Pilgrim,
that crazy shit happens. And it's just like
exactly. When you watch it, you're just like, what is going on?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's really weird, but by the end of the movie, you're kind of like, I could vibe with this. And then you almost want to see it again because it was...
The pieces are coming together. The pieces start to come together at the end.
You're used to it by the end.
Yeah, exactly.
But initially, when you start watching, you're like, what is going on?
Like,
because
what fresh
it's
hell
not,
did I walk into here?
Exactly. It's not confusing. It's just all over the place, like weird tonally.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any like more detailed thoughts? Anything you want to touch on when it comes to this movie?
I really don't have. I don't have really a lot of spoiler-free thoughts about this specifically because it's one of those things where it's really hard to talk about without at least spoiling something, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
but it's really very interesting. I do like how some of the themes actually are really reflective of how, the movie. It portrays like it has a lot to do with like the concept of like, kind of because one of the concepts is like insanity a little bit, kind of, right, and it's like that's one of the. It's not really an overarching theme, but it's just it's an idea that's brought up specifically in the movie at the beginning. You know what I mean, and how the movie. Like it's tonally, it's just all over the place, kind of like how a crazy person would be.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a really weird movie. I've said that a couple times, but you know what? It is just a really weird movie, but it's an experience. I'd recommend watching it.
I'd recommend it too. It's definitely worth a watch when you have an open mind, you have a night, and you're like, you know what? Just go watch that Suckerpunch movie. It's pretty. It's weird.
Let's watch something ridiculous.
Exactly. Yeah.
When it comes to the story, I thought the story was fairly sound. There was some things you're like, There's some questionable story choices, but overall the story was quite original and unique, I'd say, and I was on board.
The amount of unique concepts in here specifically, I actually quite enjoy. A lot of it, like, it does take some elements of like fantasy and like, you know, modern stuff, because there's some it's kind of almost, there's some action scenes in here even too, and some of them, they take elements of like fantasy and modern and just other genres, and they just put a little twist. I like those little twists, honestly. It's just kind of, everything's just kind of new, honestly, and I like that.
Yeah, so I thought the story was good. The visuals in this movie are amazing.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, it doesn't, even 2011, it does not feel that dated even.
No, it doesn't. The visuals, like, it is a huge movie. Mm-hmm. The action scenes are amazing. When it comes to the tone of it, it's all over the place in tone, like we said.
Very all over the place.
But it is also very clearly a Zack Snyder movie.
Yes, we have
lots of the Zack Snyder
We
tropes.
got the slow motion here. Yes, we got all the slow mo. I mean, we got a lot of just, you know, those action scenes. We just have not that we're contrast. This is just the stuff that he puts in his movies.
Yeah, not that we're dissing Zack Snyder. This is great, but it's very clearly a Zack Snyder movie.
He has his thing, you know. He does it.
Yeah, but overall, I really like this movie.
I liked it, honestly. It was an enjoyable experience.
Out of 10.
I thought it was, honestly, I give it a pretty good.
A pretty good. Okay, we got a pretty good over there. I give it a 7.5. You know,
7.5.
Very good. Maybe a 7.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with a 7.
Pretty good. Actually,
I was like 75. I was like,
yeah, I'm 7. Kind of, honestly, nah. I'm like, now I'm remembering. I'll probably give it a good. It's not pretty good. It's good. But yeah,
it was good. It was an experience. So, the next things we've been watching.
Next thing. So we were gonna make a Mortal Kombat. Would be the next.
That's a more recent movie.
That's more. It released pretty recently, and we were going to make specifically a podcast about that. But then we're like, you know what? We don't got anything to talk about, so we'll just throw it in right here. You know?
Yeah. So that one that came out more recently.
Yeah.
It was released in the States on the States streaming service, like the HBO Max.
HBO Max.
Then over here, you had to like rent it.
You had to rent it on Crave. Yes.
Yeah, rent it digitally.
Rent it on. You just digitally.
Yeah. And this movie was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This was another one of those ones that you're like, well, it was an entertaining time.
It was worth it.
It was nothing amazing.
Yeah,
I wouldn't watch it again personally.
I wouldn't pay $25 for it.
Yeah, even if it was somehow available to watch again, I would kind of step in for some scenes. I'd be like, oh, I'll step. Like if I was like,
okay, there
was a reason to just step in, sort of. But I would be on my phone for most of the movie because I just not that interested in seeing it again.
Yeah, the action's good. The action, I would have to say, is some of the stuff is pretty good, honestly. Like this, like, you know, like those trailer shots, they're in the movie and they're still good, you know. But
yeah.
And also the whole thing kind of falls apart in the story aspect, because the story feels very rushed, honestly.
Yeah, so a lot of movies make that mistake where they rushed all this development so we can get to the main story and the battle. When it comes to a team movie, when you're trying to introduce a bunch of different characters, they'll oftentimes rush it all together. Okay. Mm-hmm. I've seen that done in like the original, not the original, but the Justice League from 2017. They try to cram everything together.
That movie.
They rush it and try to cram everything together. What are other movies? Can you think of any others?
Jeez.
Like, there's a couple of different movies.
Like, any of the ones that have, like, Power Rangers.
I never seen that one.
Okay, yeah. What's the right word? Any movie, basically, you know, any movie where you have a bunch of characters and you're trying to all introduce them in one big movie. It's like that.
A lot of characters, a story you want to get through in a very developed world.
Yeah, you're just trying to get
it all in. So
it's a very fun juggling act, and then eventually one of those balls is going to hit the floor, and that would be the story. So,
well, for me, it was the pacing. The story was good at this one. They just need to slow it down.
They needed to slow that down a lot, because it's just so you can actually figure out what's happening.
I didn't think the characters were each explored enough. I didn't think.
Now, context. I don't know a whole lot, but I know at least a little bit of like the Mortal Kombat lore, right?
Exactly.
Duncan don't know anything.
I don't know anything. I know that there's Get Over Here, and I know that there's Sub-Zero and the Fire Skull guy.
Fire Skull guy, yeah, that's real good.
Whatever his name is.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know his name either, but that...
wait. His, no, it's not going to come to me.
Either way, so I have, like, and I know some of, like, I've looked at the story, specifically a lot of the stuff between Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
Scorpion.
That
was the guy I was trying
Fire
to
Skull guy. You don't. My God.
Scorpion.
Well, you know what? Jesus, like honestly, one of the more iconic characters just ever. Just
that's how little I knew. So going in, I was seeing it's just a movie. Now, what I was saying earlier was, I feel like the characters were not developed enough. The story was rushed. It was a lot to stomach by the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And
the ending did not feel really satisfying, honestly.
I find that when these movies have too much going on and rush it, it ends up feeling weightless to me because I don't have any. When you focus on a character more, I get invested in that character. When you rush through a bunch of characters, I'm not invested in any of them. So if they die or whatever happens with them,
yeah, exactly.
And then it ended, and I was not excited for if we get a sequel to it.
They had that sequel date just on the damn wall. Like they had it literally on the wall.
Yeah,
and they wanted the sequel date. Honestly,
This movie overall, it just seemed really nothing special to me.
It was nothing special, honestly. It's just another reboot of another franchise, and it's just.
That being said, it was enjoyable to watch.
It was worth to watch. I would say, like, if you just want to watch some action, there's action in it's like a PowerPoint presentation of action, honestly.
Yeah, I think this with most movies we watch. We recommend that you watch them,
but they're not good. It's just something.
They are sometimes good. But it's not something that afterwards you're going to be like, I need to rewatch that.
Yeah, no, this is like one of those things where I seen it, okay, cool, I had a good night, whatever. You know?
Yeah. It's one of those you easily move on from.
Yeah, you easily move on. This is kind of, a lot of the stuff we're like, specific, that's kind of the trend of, like, this is just, you watch it, and it's just kind of, it was an experience,
Exactly. Okay, do you have any final thoughts on that one?
No, honestly, like, I mean, hey, Scorpion, he did the get over here thing, so that was pretty cool, but that's about it. I knew that was going to happen because it's one of the most iconic things ever. Get over here.
Exactly. There was some cool action.
There was cool action, but that's about it. It was just some cool action.
Exactly. Now, what's your out of 10?
Me out of 10? I'll give it a... It's like
out of 10.
Is right above a good, but it's below good. It's above meh.
Okay. I think I understand. I'm gonna give this one a 5.
Okay, yeah.
5 out of 10. It's like right in the middle for me. I was just kind of like, yeah, I could take it or I could leave it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to the final one.
Okay, now this one's actually good.
Ryan is extremely excited about this one.
This is good. This is a good movie, and maybe if I could convince Duncan, we're getting like the whole 40-hour breakdown of this thing because there's a lot here.
40 hours. I don't think there's that much there, but
there's that much there. I'll find it.
So this is a more obscure movie of a series of movies that I watch a lot, but they're kind of more obscure.
Yes. Did not know these existed.
DC Universe animated movies. So they're animated films that aren't really made for kids. They're more mature, but
very much so.
But they're really good. They're like a comic book come to life.
They're honestly they're pretty
and they have quality to them if you pick the right ones, and you have the patience to get past. Lots of people stop at the animated. They're like, I'm not watching an anime movie. No, if you can get past that and get past some of the animation that comes and goes when it comes to quality.
Yeah, because they are made by, one thing to remember is smaller studio making all these things, so they don't have the same budget.
Exactly. It is a smaller studio within DC, and so yeah, they have a smaller budget, and they're direct-to-video releases.
Yes.
Anyways, this one is called Superman Red Sun.
And it's good. It's really good. It's honestly so good.
Yes. It's pretty good. It's not one of my favorites. I think it's really good, but Ryan is very into this. Now, you've only, for context,
I've seen it once.
Okay, but how many of the DC anime movies have you seen?
2.
Okay, so you seen this one? I think was it Batman Hush?
Batman Hush, yeah.
Yeah. So Hush was not as, I thought Hush was pretty good.
Hush was
not as good as this one. But
no, this one's good. This one's good.
So this was the second one you've seen, which is not at all them in order, but they don't need to be really in order. So this movie,
anyways, yeah.
This movie is an alternate universe story.
Yes.
Where Superman's like rocket thingy comes to Earth and lands in Soviet
communist Russia, yes. And so he lands, and during the movie starts about 1945 when he's about 12, basically. So this is the whole thing kind of takes place post World War II.
Yeah. So, and then it goes from there. It's a very complex story. I'm not going to say it's complicated because that gives a bad tone to it. It's a complex story. You have to pay attention.
You have to understand. Yeah, you have to watch it. Yeah.
But it doesn't make it not a superhero film. It's still a superhero film very much because we get appearances of other characters.
Yeah,
in this universe.
We get Wonder Woman in here. We get Now, here's the thing. So the kind of the movie, before not getting into too much spoilers, but the kind of the movie, it follows kind of Superman's, his, like, what would happen, basically. The whole movie's based on the present. What would happen if Superman landed in communist Russia, basically?
Yeah. So, and it explores several topics throughout there, but it's just nice to see kind of how he'd react, because he's a different character, but he's still kind of Superman.
Yes.
So then there's Superman, and then we have other characters, Wonder Woman, we got some Green Lanterns, other characters from the DC universe show up. And it's interesting to see how they're represented in this world.
Exactly. Everything's just kind of, it's a lot different, especially, I would have to say.
Yeah. But overall, it's a really good movie. And when it comes to the story, I thought the story was very well done.
Oh, the story was
well done. It is based on a graphic novel. So the story was kind of set out for them as well.
Oh, yeah.
But when, like, reading the graphic novel, they've adapted it pretty well. Do you have any thoughts about the story?
I like the story overall, honestly. It's very logical. I do like that, because the whole thing is very logical, and it does make a lot of sense, because it takes real-world events and real-world concepts and kind of mix them with addition to, like, concepts that are, like, from, like, Superman comics and stuff, right? Like, Brainiac and, like,
Exactly.
And it meshes the two of them very well into just a very nice story to follow, honestly.
Yeah, and it's a not super long movie, so you can kind of stay into
it's just like, how long is it? Like 70-ish?
I think it's 70 or 80 minutes around there. The animation, which is a big factor in these movies.
Animation is not okay. It's some scenes are like painful. Like the one, there's specifically a couple. If you watch it, you'll figure out which ones we're talking about. But no, there's very few of them actually. And overall, the animation I'd say is not that bad.
Yeah, when I'm comparing it to the others, the animation isn't amazing, but because there's some that I really like the animation that you can see they put a little bit more effort in some than the others.
Yes.
And I don't know what that has to do with whether it's budget or
probably, I think, especially because if the rest of them are part of like a main timeline, this is just kind of a one-off thing on the side.
Yeah, they may not. So the animation I thought was pretty good though. There's some points that you can see you're like, they could have done a little better there, but overall there was only probably one point. Now my only thing with the animation is I want it to be good enough that it doesn't distract me.
Oh yeah,
so
when I'm following along, notice it.
Yes, when it distracts me, it takes me out of the zone of the movie. So I think there was only like one point to which it did that for me.
I think there was like one. Yeah, there was one point where it was really distracting, honestly.
But apart from that, I was in the movie, and you barely start to notice that you just watching a movie.
You're just watching a movie, honestly. It's good.
Do you have any other thoughts on this one that you want to talk about?
No, honestly, without going into like a full breakdown of spoiler by spoiler, scene by scene of this entire movie, I gotta say it's out of the three, it'd be my favorite. Out of the three we're talking about.
Oh yeah, oh definitely, because this is actually one like that I could revisit. The other, it was an enjoyable experience. This is I want to watch this.
I want to rewatch this, honestly.
It's definitely that quality where we're like, we recommend you go and watch it if now here's the thing, like it does visit some like historical events and stuff. Now you don't need to know that, but it's nice. Well, and I'm saying we recommend you go watch it if you want, like,
if this is kind of
this is what you're into,
if this is what you want to watch, go watch it. You're like
not animation, not comic book graphic novel adaptions, then don't. But for what it is, it's very good. It's very good. It's great, honestly. Okay, you're very into this movie. What is your rating out of 10?
I honestly, like, overall, like, sure, the animation stuff, but just the story and just the concepts, I have to give it a grade. My first grade.
Okay. Wow. I'd say I'd give it a 7.5. Now, I gave Mortal Kombat 5. I gave Sucker Punch 7. I give this a 7.5. It's not super high, because if we get higher, it's like some of my favorite movies. But it's a good movie.
Oh, honestly, I really like. This is actually up there with some of my more favorite movies. Honestly, this thing, I like this a lot.
So yeah, is there anything else? I think that's everything we want to go over today.
It's pretty quick. This is gonna be a more quicker episode. We're just trying something new, seeing how it goes.
Yeah. So yeah, so we're just going over again. We just went over some of the most recent movies we've seen. These movies, some of them are newer, some of them are older. I think the Superman one that we just talked about was from 2018 or 19.
Hey, don't quote me. I don't know.
And then Sucker Punch from a while ago, 2011.
yeah.
And then Mortal Kombat was
2021.
Recent. So we kind of jumped around, but we may do more episodes like this where we just tell you guys
when
about...
when we don't have that many thoughts on a specific movie, we just kind of put a couple together and just see, this is what we thought.
The most recent things we've
watched. Here's what we've been watching, so you guys can obviously keep track of every single action we're ever doing, so...
But yeah, follow us on social media.
Yep, follow us on social media. Fellowship of the Films on Instagram and
Twitter.
And Twitter, yeah.
And the link to those are
link in the About section of our channel and in the description.
Yeah, and I think that's it for tonight. Everybody have a great evening, and stay tuned for our next episode.
Exactly. See you guys later.